Welcome to LAURELD Smith of Chicago, Illinois, nonprofit home video and artworks creations. In this particular video, we will be looking at the May 2016 image of planet Nibiru as it appeared above the equatorial area of planet Earth, in the same manner or bigger than the size of the moon, in which one would see on the summer night as they look up in the sky. The bottom surface of Nibiru has Temple Mount building structures and African alien Elohim faces of the Seal of King Solomon. This is the cube of New Jerusalem, the cube in a 6-point star. That's the African Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure and LALIBELA connection to planet Nibiru's naked-eyed viewed land surface image, where we see as it appeared above the atmospheric regions of planet Earth. We can see it just like one would look up at the moon. The bottom surface of planet Nibiru, or the planet of the crossing, has the Temple Mount building structures, octagonal building structures, and cube building structures. We see dome structures all around the surface. Now, when we make the connection with the African Adam face of Genesis 2:7, we see the African Adam face on Nibiru's land surface. Now, this is a black man's face, just like if you cut the head off a black man and put it on the table and you take a photograph of it sideways. This is the image of a sideways image of an African Adam face on the land surface of Nibiru. Now remember, the African Adam face is the size of countries, okay? Just like if you look at the African Lion Sphinx 3 face image. Okay, this is the major discovery. This is one of the major archaeological, theological, and astronomical discoveries to date, in which LAURELD Smith of Chicago, Illinois, nonprofit home video and artworks creation has discovered. Now, as we look at the African Lion Sphinx 3 of ancient Judea, this is the Egyptian land of Canaan. Remember, the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible, false man-based world religions, lied about this Egyptian land of Canaan, where we see Palestine in the Egyptian land of Canaan. If you go to your geography books, then we see Judea and Jerusalem in the Egyptian land of Canaan. But when we look at the world map, we see this V-shaped piece of land. Below the center of the V-shaped piece of land, we see Mount Sinai, where Nibiru aliens were landing in Ezekiel's will in the world like UFOs. So they landed. So the aliens of Nibiru, the aliens of the Temple Mount, the aliens of the African pyramids in Giza and Gaza, they was landing in Northeast Africa, a mountain range of Sinai. When we connect this aerial viewed land surface image on Nibiru of a black African Lion Sphinx of ancient Judaism, we have turned the tables. We have actually destroyed the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible, false man-based world religions, and the Eurocentric Temple Mount views concerning a European image of Jesus that has a beard and a penis underneath his white robe. This is the false man-based world religious image of the Lord Jesus. Why? Because when we say man-based world religions, we're talking about a man that has a penis. And if you try to uplift a man in outer space, which is Joshua, the book of Joshua, area of heaven, where the sun appeared to stand still and did not go down for about the space of a whole day. Today, with modern astronomical telescopes, we see the sun shining 93 million miles away across the black outer reaches of space towards the 5 billion-year-old world in which it created. So now, when we go back to the false man-based world religions in every Afro-American neighborhood church, we see African descendants connected to Nibiru, Lion Sphinx 3. Now, this is the Lion Sphinx of ancient Judaism. This is why planet Nibiru exposes the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible false man-based world religions. So as we look at this African land surface image of the Lion Sphinx of ancient Giza, Gaza, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem, he appears. I'll give you a visual image of how the African Sphinx is length appears on the naked eye view of planet Nibiru as you look up in the atmosphere and see the bottom surface of Nibiru. Just like if you draw a line from the center of Africa down to the south area of Africa. So basically you just drew a line from the middle of Africa down to the south. That's the area of the length of the Sphinx on Nibiru, or Planet X. This is why ancient Judaism has been rediscovered on planet Nibiru, along with an African Adam Mars face. So there's two black African facial structures in which we can now connect to the Temple Mount building structures on the planet Nibiru's outer land surface area. So in this video, you will be seeing an up-close image of the African pyramids, Lion Sphinx of the tribe of Judah. So this is the book of Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse, 4th son of Jacob. Now the book of Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse speaks of the 12 Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls speaking 12 sons of Jacob leaving the Babylonian stealth pyramid civilization of Ham, which is in the corner, which is in Iraq. Okay. Now, as this occurred, we see Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls speaking black Africans entering into ancient Egypt from a stealth pyramid civilization of Ham. So another black African stealth pyramid civilization of Ham is entering into ancient Egypt. What the Bible, which is a European slave-based textbook created by Europeans and the kings and queens of England that conquered Africa and that now owns 75% the African continent, oil, gold, and diamond resources. This is why when they lied about the African Lion Sphinx of ancient Judaism, they lied about the black African Sphinx found in the Egyptian pyramids in Giza. Now, when we see the stealth pyramids of Saqqara in ancient Egypt, we immediately look at the stealth pyramids of the book of Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse, Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll speaking 12 sons of Jacob. So when we look at this stealth pyramid image in the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame, I refer to it as stealth pyramid E. So it's like stacking 5 blocks on top of one another on the left side, that they form a step in which you walk upon, and do the same thing with the right side. Stand back and look at it. That's the black African Babylonian stealth pyramid image of Ham, the Hamitic civilizations, who spoke the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls. So we can populate Iraq, if we go back 4,000 years ago, with black Africans speaking the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll language. We can populate Egypt, Giza, Gaza, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem, Ekron, Ascalon, all with black Africans speaking the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scroll language. Now, when we look at the Egyptian land of Canaan, now that's today's modern state of Israel. You say, well, what's the difference? There's no difference. You say, oh, so we can populate the Egyptian land of Canaan with its original black African countryside inhabitants, right? Okay, now once we make that big discovery that the Bible was a big bald-faced lie by the Europeans that conquered Africa, Egyptian land of Canaan. If we go to the Egyptian land of Canaan today in an airplane, we're landing in the modern state of Israel. So if you look at the white-faced Europeans in suits, for instance, a modern image of President Netanyahu, that's the president of Israel today. Okay, you look at him on the internet, you'll see a white man face in a black suit. You go downtown to Wall Street Jones or New York or something, you'll see European white-faced individuals in black business suits. So when I discovered that the Europeans wrote the English Bible through the King and Queens of England, the King James Bible. So it's a slave-based textbook that was created 400 years ago in 1611 by the Kings and Queens of England. So why was this African Bible? Why was the African Lion Sphinx not in the English Bible or in the European Bible? Because the Europeans that now inhabit the Egyptian land of Canaan, we today call them Israelites. So thus we make the connection that the Egyptian land of Canaan is in an African extension. So when we look at Israel, we can erase that Israel crap right out the Bible, okay? Because we're talking about black Africans. in Northeast Africa. That's where the Egyptian land of Canaan is. Now, if you go over that area in the airplane, you're going to see Escalon, Ekron. This is the book of Joshua, 15 chapter 20 through the 47 verse. Scriptural reference of the African Egyptian land of Judea. So that means the black African thinks of Judah is a black African. Okay. And that means that he controlled the entire Northeast African continent, where the Egyptian land of Canaan exists today. So modern Israelites are illegally, the European-faced Israelites, Israelites with white European faces, are illegal occupiers today, as of 2016. They are illegal occupiers in Jerusalem, Egyptian land of Canaan. Why? Because if you look at the globe world map, you'll see that you have this V-shaped piece of land. Just take the African continent, right? Now, when you look at it, you see Northeast Africa, and then you will see a Euphrates River separating West Africa from East Africa. This is where the geography books made the biggest lie towards the Egyptian land of Canaan. They used the lame excuse that the 125 deep, roughly, Euphrates River separates Northwest Africa from Northeast Africa. So if you get in a helicopter and look down upon the Euphrates River, and that river dried up, you're going to see that looking down 125 feet, you see bedrock. So that means that the Egyptian land of Canaan, in the V-shaped piece of land, so now you can draw a V in Northeast Africa. Now put Mount Sinai just a little bit below the center of the V. Now Judea and Jerusalem above the V, just a rim area. So you're looking at an upside down V. Okay, now this means that the Egyptian land of Canaan is a black African territory of the Lion Sphinx of Judea. So when the Bible in Genesis 49 chapter 8 verse says, the Lion Sphinx of Judah cast down as a lion and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? They talking about the black African face upon the lion's body in front of the North African pyramids in Giza. Hence we have rediscovered the ancient Lion Sphinx of Judea, because when you look at the Jerusalem, you got to go back to the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible, false man-based world religions, biblical textbook lies. So what does the lie of the Europeans that conquered Africa and placed African pyramids on the back of the dollar bill? I say Europeans conquered Africa. So you go back to Europe, you see the kings and queens of England. So who wrote the lie in the Bible that is now deceiving 100 million Afro-Americans in every neighborhood church? It was the kings and queens of England. So this is a 1611 creation of the English Bible. So you go back 400 years from 2016, you were roughly in around 1611. Now the language of the Europeans, kings and queens that lied about the Egyptian land of Canaan is also the language of Europe. So you go to Europe, you'll see English books, English math books, biology books, and textbooks, and geography books. You come to America. Okay, now if we go back 4,000 years ago, you don't have no Europeans or white men in America. Who do you have? You have Indians on horseback shooting bow and arrows in North America, and then you have Indians and black Olmec civilizations in Pumapunku and Tiwanaku, okay, around Mexico. So this is the stealth pyramids in South America, connected to the stealth pyramid 12 sons of Jacob in Babylon, and the stealth pyramid of Saqqara. So all this plus the archaeological and theological discoveries in which I've made in one big full circle. So stealth pyramids now is appearing on the bottom land surface of the May 2016 image of Nibiru. Now this is where we decode the dome of the rock, outer wall, stone, rectangular window frame, stealth pyramid E image, as it's connected to the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls speaking 12 sons of Jacob. Now remember, the book of Psalms 105th chapter 23rd verse says that this in Northeast Africa, we're talking about the V-shaped piece of land. If we discredit that Euphrates River as separating West Africa from East Africa, we see the Egyptian land of Canaan as being an extension of the African Lion Sphinx of Judah. So that means when you write the word Judae, that's Judea. And so Judea is in the Egyptian land of Canaan. Jerusalem is in the Egyptian land of Canaan. But in the Bible, when they try to miss the words, the true area is that, as the 1st chapter 3rd verse says, let us go up to Jerusalem, which is located in the land of Judah, and build the house of the Lord God of Jacob. So you say, okay, so now what have you discovered? That the Egyptian land of Canaan is connected to the African Sphinx and African pyramids in Egypt. African lion sphinx to the tribe of Judah in the book of Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse. So when we see this African lion sphinx 3, the size of the half the size of the African continent, up on the bottom surface of the May 2016 image of Nibiru, we have rediscovered ancient Judaism. So now we're looking at the African face of a lion sphinx of the tribe of Judah, along with the African Adam face. So the 41.2 degrees north stone face on Mars represents the embryonic origin of African Adam, because there's African pyramids next to the stone face on Mars. So we come back to Earth, we see the pyramids in Egypt and Giza and Gaza and all around the world. So when we reconnect planet Nibiru to the Temple Mount, outer wall stone rectangular window frame. So we're talking about an octagonal building structure that has a golden dome. And you walk around the sides of the wall of the octagonal building structure, you see stone rectangular window frames in each of its walls. This is where we see a stealth pyramid E connected to the 12 sons of Jacob. Now this is stealth pyramid E that appears in the center of Nibiru. So if you write a big circle on the wall, you put African Adam at the bottom lower left end of the circle, a black man's face. This is the image that appears in the May 2016 naked eye image of Nibiru, and it appears above the surface of planet Earth. Now you put the stealth pyramid E in the Dome of Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frame in Jerusalem. It's a big land surface stealth pyramid in the center of Nibiru as you look up at the bottom area with your naked eye, as it appears above the atmospheric regions of planet Earth. So therefore we have African Adam to the left side of the bottom of the Nibiru planet circle. We have a stealth pyramid that decodes the Dome of the Rock, globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection, the lion sphinx of Judea, descendants. Now, to the right of the circle of Nibiru, right, you're going to see a African couching lion sphinx 3 land surface body image. Now what's important about the African lion sphinx and the globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection E image and the African Adam is that all of these African faces is connected to the Temple Mount, globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projection outer wall stone rectangular window frame. So you say, okay, so what is that in geometry? Well, you got to realize that the African pyramids in Egypt has a square base. So that's the Masonic square. And on the blank sheet of paper, if you write a white square on the blank sheet of paper, now superimpose another square sideways on that one. That's called a double Masonic square. So if you look at these two squares intersecting lines on the blank sheet of paper, you see them generating a geometric octagon building structure of the roof that exists in Jerusalem. So this is why the African lion sphinx, African pyramids in Egypt, the Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramid, Masonic square base, is the double Masonic square of the Dome of the Rock, octagonal building structure architecture. Now when we see this octagon generated by the square base of the African pyramids in Egypt, or the lion, where we see the African lion sphinx of the tribe of Judah in front of. So this is how we reconnect planet Nibiru, globe earth stealth pyramid Mercator projections, to the 12 African Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls speaking sons of Jacob that entered into ancient Egypt from Babylon. Now remember, we're talking about a location in Northeast Africa. So put the African continent on the blackboard or on the white blank sheet of paper. Now write a V in the right area, northeast right area of the African continent. That's the mysterious V-shaped piece of land in which news media talks about it, refers to as the Middle East. Now, why is this V-shaped piece of land so important? Because it's in Northeast Africa. Despite the geographic books in your colleges and high school lie that this Middle East, with Jerusalem, Mount Sinai, Judea, and Palestine is, it's not connected to Africa. Well, that's a bald-faced lie. And so as we look at this African Lion Sphinx globe earth stellar pyramid Mercator projection, we're looking at the Dome of the Rock, outer wall, stone, rectangular window frame, stellar pyramid of Saqqara, stellar pyramid in South America, Tiwanaku, Pumapunku. And now we're looking at the stellar pyramids of Saqqara. Now, if we identify the same stellar pyramid E imaging which appears in the Dome of the Rock upon the May 2016 I image of view of planet Nibiru, and it appears above the equatorial perimeter of planet Earth, we have decoded the African Lion Sphinx of Judah original Temple Mount Planet X. So this is where, when we go back to Africa, we've been talking about Africa since the beginning of this video, and the Planet X Nibiru, May 2016 image, stellar pyramid land surface images, where we see African atom, central stellar pyramid. Now these are land surface lines, okay, the size of mountains. If you look at an airplane, look down upon the earth, Mount Sinai region, you say, okay, that's Mount Sinai. That's the holy mountain in the Bible, right? So what happens if we get in an airplane or use satellite imagery and look down upon Mount Sinai, where we're looking down upon Northeast Africa, Egyptian land, and Canaan territory, where the Jerusalem and Judea is located geographically or associated with the Egyptian land of Canaan. So this is Northeast Africa. So the history books and geography books has lied to the Afro-Americans, high school students, when they try to say the Middle East is in the Z-shaped piece of land. Well, look at the world map. It's in Northeast Africa, despite what they tell you. Okay. So this is where we connect the African Lion Sphinx to Mount Sinai, wheel in the wheel UFO landing, where aliens of Nibiru landing in Northeast Africa, mountain range of Sinai, landing in Jerusalem. Okay, so they're landing. So picture a V in Northeast Africa. So you write a V in Northeast Africa, the end of Africa, north area of Africa in the east. So you write a V there, then you're going to see the Euphrates River separating West Africa from East Africa. So when we reclaim the African Lion Sphinx of ancient Judaism, planet Nibiru, we have reclaimed Ethiopia's cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA, and the Dome of the Rock, outer wall, stone, rectangular window frame E. Coincidentally, if you go to LALIBELA and look down upon the stone cross-shaped building structure that was carved out of solid bedrock, right, the area that was left formed the Masonic deep square, about 50 feet deep. That's the cube in the 6-point star seal of King Solomon. It's the cube of New Jerusalem, and where we see the cross image of Nibiru in a building form in Africa, in a place called LALIBELA. When we look down upon the base surrounding the stone cross-shaped building structure in LALIBELA from a helicopter, we're looking down upon the globe earth stellar pyramid Mercator projection E image, which appears in the Dome of the Rock, outer wall, stone, rectangular window frame as stellar pyramid E.